And today that for 45 minutes, for about 45 minutes, I will discuss you facilitating skills. And then next 45 minutes, we will try to do an exercise if possible. As you know, facilitation is also a skill. It's a behavioral process, no doubt, but we put it in the category of behavioral skills. A good facilitator has certain personal characteristics and skills that encourage group members to participate in a discussion or activity. So one document of UNIDO has enumerated some of these personal characteristics for a facilitator. Generous, patience, understanding, accepting, inclusive, encourager, enabler, affirming of everybody's knowledge, recognizing and affirming others' knowledge, sensitive to the needs of others. I emphasized one day that this sensitivity to oneself and sensitivity to others, this is in the core of facilitating skills. So it is a very important characteristic for a good facilitator that not only that person should be sensitive to his or her own needs, but also to the needs of others. In other words, we say the person should be sensitive to oneself and sensitive to others, willing to learn from mistakes. Yes, everybody does mistakes. Facilitator also does mistakes sometimes. I have seen my gurus, they have also slipped on a few occasions. But question is that, is the facilitator willing to learn from the mistakes? Dynamic and also a motivator. Good listener, very important quality. Good at summarizing others' ideas. You can summarize others' ideas only when you are listening very attentively, confident, and good communicator. So these are some of the characteristics of good facilitators. And we have to basically see, each one of us, that where do I stand as far as these characteristics are concerned. Techniques and skills are two terms we use interchangeably, because for many of us it's not very easy to distinguish between technique and skill. The line is also very thin. Sometimes a technique becomes a skill. Just I invite you to have your own deeper study on the difference if you are interested. But few points I would like to present before you quickly. Skill is the ability to perform a whole movement or activity it can be defined as automation of motor actions. Automation of motor actions. Skill describes a type of ability a person has acquired. For example, riding a bicycle. It is a skill. Making some drawing, skill, sketches. Dancing, singing, etc. He skillfully steered the car out of the crowd. That is a skill. Person is got stuck up in crowd and he steered his car beautifully from there. So one can say that skillfully the person steered the car out of the crowd. A skill is a series of linked movements performed for a purpose. Skill describes the purpose of linked sequences of movement, linked sequence of movements. So these are some of the things about the skills and what as a trainer we have seen that knowledge is knowing and skill is doing, and one gets a skill or one becomes skilled, one can enhance one's skills through practice, practice, practice. This is true for facilitation also. Technique describes the protocol with which the job or task is executed. One example, the lock refused to open with the key. The locksmith knew the technique, so he manipulated the levers with a fine wire to open the lock. This is a technique. Many times you may have seen that your workmen, although they don't have good conceptual or theoretical knowledge, but since they have learned some techniques, they are able to do the job beautifully. Technique is a basic movement of an event or activity. Techniques are tools to gain skills. They are tools basically through which we gain skills. Technique is the way of performing a skill. Acquiring technique gives a person greater skills. A technique is a way of executing skills. A technique describes the way skill is performed. So these are words, but the fact is that most of the time we don't distinguish between skills and techniques and we use it. This is also true that when we repeatedly use a technique, that becomes our skill. Now, now we are coming to the specific subject matter of today, that is skills. What are some of these skills good facilitators require or good facilitators apply? Two categories it has been divided here. One is non-verbal facilitation skills. Sometimes or a number of times facilitation is done without using words, by gestures or by some movements which are our body movement, facial movement, eye movement. Without using words, we facilitate, and those things sometimes become very powerful. So, non-verbal facilitation skills. Yeah, these are some of the non-verbal facilitation skills. Look around the whole group. Avoid looking too much at a specific individual. This is such a thing which is very simple, But many times I find even uh, those facilitators who are doing since some time that uh, their head becomes hinged to a particular corner or to a particular person. So this is not good. Looking around the whole group and avoiding looking too much at a specific individual. Yes, when you are focusing, listening, talking, good enough. Stand up when you speak, especially at the beginning of a session. I don't value it so much because by raising hands also we do something. But in many places it is considered to be a good habit that you stand up when you speak, particularly in the beginning. Later on, it may not be that necessary. Show you are feeling relaxed but confident by smiling and keeping your hands still. It is necessary that when you appear before your group, your audience, your team, you should appear confident. And you will appear confident only when you are confident from inside. Your anxiety or more anxiety will be visible in your movements, in your uh, facial expression, etc. Move around without distracting the group. Yeah, sometimes we keep on moving. There is a dais, or even if there is a no dais, we are sitting at the same floor, but there is a special place for the facilitator. So many of us prefer to move around, but that movement should be very smooth and without distracting the group. Don't pace up and down or show your back too much or speak when people can't see you easily. Yeah, these things you might have, you might be doing, or you might have learned in public speaking. Don't stand or sit too close to people if it is clear they want more space. Yes, some persons, they are more comfortable when they have some space. So don't intrude into their space. Let them be like that. Use gestures and actions to keep the group lively and focused, or to show affection. Clap your hands to get attention or show someone who has done the right. Many times we are facilitating an activity or a field exercise or a large group. So, in order to invite the attention, you have sometimes to, yeah, if you clap, I think you will catch the attention of people. This is a very easy way. I am using it very frequently. So these are some of the very common non-verbal skills. There can be many more. Uh, some verbal facilitation skills. Speak slowly and clear. I agree. Few of us, some of us, have the habit of speaking very fast. But when you are facilitating, you are talking to people, uh, a slow and clear speaking is appreciated. You know, in my early career, I will say, early age also you can say, I was personally I was speaking very fast. It's not that I have a very good English. No, I'm educated up to class 12 from Hindi medium. Uh, yeah, English medium was only in my engineering and management. But you know, uh, habit habit of speaking very fast somehow I had developed, and I was not aware of it. So I was in Japan for a international seminar. 13 people from 13 countries were there. I was one of them. And we had to periodically do some group work. It was in the form of facilitation. or making some presentations like that. So, yeah. So after a few days, I was there was some formal presentation going on, formal, and by country's flag and country and this and that. So I was waiting for my turn. It was random. So the program coordinator, program director, I must say, he was a 79, 80-year-old ex-armed forces person who was coordinating the entire program. So very fun-loving person, very friendly with us. Within 3-4 days, we could become very friendly with him. So that gentleman told, now it's the turn of Shinkansen. He will talk about the HRD practices in his country. So people started moving, looking towards me, but I was not aware that they are looking towards me, perhaps. And I was waiting who is coming. Nobody was coming. Then they started laughing. There was a laughter in the classroom. And then the director told that I'm surprised. Shinkansen is not knowing his name. Mr. Partha from India, it's your turn. So Shinkansen was basically the bullet train. And now we know in India also, that was the name of the bullet trains in Japan. So without my knowledge, they had named me Shinkansen. I got a feedback that perhaps I speak very fast, that's why. So I developed the habit of speaking slowly and clearly. You also might have experienced that if a howsoever knowledgeable person is coming, but he is not speaking, at a reasonable pace, I think people miss that person. People are not able to listen and concentrate on him. Find simple ways to express hard ideas and use local examples to help understanding. You know, simple ways to express hard ideas. Still, it is an art or it is a skill. But some facilitators, they present even simple things in a very hard manner, so that people should know that person is a highly educated person. My belief is that if you are, it's more difficult to speak a simple language or present an idea in simple words. So as a facilitator, it will help us. Help the participant do most of the talking. Some say 60-40, some say 70-30, some even go by telling 80-20. 80% of the air time should be taken by uh, participants and only 20%, 30%, something like that with the participants. Means facilitator should listen more than speak more. Ask questions that make participants talk, such as what do you think about, why, how, what, etc. Means instead of giving a solution by yourself, it's better that you ask very important, very typical questions, which gives opportunity to people to speak. Yeah. If someone answers with a simple yes or no, ask or him or her to elaborate. Because yes, no is a very quick type of answer. Persons many times give it, use it without even understanding. Paraphrase. I think I have spoken earlier about paraphrasing. Paraphrase occasionally. Paraphrasing is basically repeating. Repeating what the uh, what somebody has told. For example, if you are a facilitator and you are asking somebody, what is paraphrasing? And one of the group members answers, sir, paraphrasing is repeating a part of what the speaker has told just now. So, how will I paraphrase it? Oh, did you say paraphrasing is repeating part of the statements of the speaker? So, I am paraphrasing it. So, what is the benefit of paraphrasing? First thing is that if somebody is speaking, if a participant is answering something or speaking something, making some statement, and if as a facilitator I paraphrase it means I am making sure whether I have understood clearly or not. Because in paraphrasing, if I am missing some words or if I am wrongly making the sentence, the speaker will say, no, no, Mr. Parth, I did not speak, I spoke like this. So it gives an opportunity to, ensure the understanding, and that is one. And second thing is that if the speaker gets assured, gets an assurance that whatever he or she has spoken has been listened by the facilitator or whoever is listening. Because without listening correctly, you can't paraphrase correctly. So paraphrasing is a good skill, very useful skill in facilitation and communication. Tell your stories. Use appropriate self-disclosure by the trainer to create by the facilitator to create trust between the group and yourself. You know, the stories or experiences, short experiences, appropriate experiences help in many ways. One is that it helps in understanding the context or the subject matter. Secondly, it helps in bridging the gap between the speaker and the listener. If I share as a facilitator my experiences or my stories, the participants come closer to me. But if it is irrelevant, if it is too long, it can be dysfunctional also. Many persons who have attended my programs here or outside the country, many places, most of the places, they have given me the feedback that my personal sharing has helped them understand the subject and also keep their interests intact. But I have also got a few feedbacks where I was working in my own organization or with some clients also that
Pause and mouse.
pardon sir.
Okay. So let me
Hello, telling something. Okay. Yeah, what I was telling that good feedback I have got for stories, but a few feedback had been negative feedback also. People have not liked it and they have told that I think you are doing too much, you are sharing too much of your experiences. Why don't you share some other person's experiences? So this is also there. But I am a firm believer that it's better to share my own stories. And if in the context I don't have my own stories, I can share others' stories. They will be much more likely to share their own stories if you share your own. Means your self-disclosure will encourage other persons also to disclose themselves and share their own experiences and or their own stories. However, one should be aware not to become so personal as to make people uncomfortable or to go on too much length. And then people will feel bad, they will get bored. Give support to someone's statements by sharing a relevant personal experience. Yes. If somebody is making some statement and you find that that person's statements are very timely and very relevant for the movement of the group in the appropriate direction, then you can support that by sharing your personal experiences on that. And that becomes very potent in the facilitation exercise. Say something like, that reminds me of something that happened last year when this one. You are relating also with that experience. So it enhances that person's credibility. It enhances your credibility also as a facilitator. Offer examples or symbols that will help people visualize and relate to what you are talking about. Examples or symbols that will help people visualize and realize. Yeah, there is a little difference between these examples and stories. Stories are normally longer, examples are shorter and precise. Summarize the discussion for the group as you go along to help everyone with up to it. Yeah, you may recall when we are talking about group role inventory. One of the roles of group members is summarizing. Summarizing whatever development has occurred, whatever has come from different corners. Occasionally, if the facilitator summarizes, it helps the group to come to the point. It helps the group to clarify the doubts, and it helps the group to move ahead. Keep track of people's feelings as well. In the beginning itself, I showed you the lotus model. So feelings are very important. Behaviors and feelings are very closely linked. So please don't, as a facilitator, focus your attention on content, that is the words, concepts, theory, yeah, incidents, but also keep an eye on the feelings of the members. Listen, listen, listen. Validate, clarify, restate, and reflect, especially when you think you may disagree. So listen, listen, listen. When people put a question to you as the expert, make a practice of inviting others to respond first by putting the question to the group as a whole. Uh, yeah, I think it is a very helpful practice because whatever you say that you believe in leveling and all the members in the group are same status and this and that. Many times we do facilitation sitting in floor also. I prefer that. When very important meeting is there, facilitation meeting, I remove tables and chairs and I put gaddas and pillows and we sit around in a room, a small room, and being comfortable in a informal situation as far as possible. And this indicates that we are at the same level, we are all grounded. So when people put a question to you as the expert, make practice of inviting others to respond first. If somebody asks you a question as an expert, yes, you know, you are supposed to know, you might be knowing, but instead of your directly agreeing or disagreeing to that question or answering that question, it's better. I have found it more meaningful if you ask the same question to some other person. Somebody asks a question. You can say, okay, would anybody in the group like to respond to it? Yes, one or two or many persons may respond it. If they are not responding, you can slightly stimulate so that somebody responds. And when people see the answers given by others, if the answers are not similar, there may be a discussion on that, but they will see the various other facets of the question, and then of course you may facilitate by summarizing or by putting questions or by emphasizing the right answer or most appropriate answer. You will often be surprised at how much wisdom resides within the group. Sometimes I'm surprised from the way small kids, when I'm talking to them and they answer a question. Draw on others to avoid a battle. If you find yourself being criticized by a participant or in a strong disagreement with what he or she is saying, it's often helpful to invite the comments of the rest of the group before commenting yourself. And I say this is a tool, not tool, more than a tool, a weapon in the hands of facilitators. When a facilitator finds adverse weather or very critical, hostile um, participants, this works very well. That instead of you coming into an argument or discussion or criticism, it's better to invite the comments of the group. What does the group think about it? How does the group feel about it? And I think uh, I always say myself when I'm working with group that believe, believe the process. Have trust on the process. If you have trust on the process in these difficult corners, from somewhere, some help will come to you and it will help you. And instead of you telling, if you tell something, they will feel otherwise. But when some participants say, it will be a different thing. And at a number of times when the group is not cooperating or hostile group, I have used it, and 100% of the times the group has helped me. Be affirming. Whatever possible, find something positive and useful in whatever is being offered. This is a question of attitudes. Many times, some people are there, few people are there, or many people are there. When somebody is speaking, they will try to find out the flaws or the shortcomings into it. Some persons are there, even if they see the shortcomings, but first they will try to highlight the positive thing or the positive thing what the person is saying. So be affirming and whatever possible find something positive and useful. If you find something positive and useful, even if the person has approached you with a wrong intention or very negative feelings, the person's intensity of those type of feelings will come down, if not uh, removed totally. Refocus the discussion if you have gone off the topic. This happens very often, very often. As a trainer, as a facilitator. Trainer is also a facilitator only. What we are doing in the classroom, we are facilitating in a different way. So it's easy to realize, or it's not easy to realize. Many times we get hooked. For example, whenever people talk about, uh, you know, uh, some comments on performance management systems, especially which was developed by me, I get hooked to that. वो लगता है कि ये उसकी क्रिटिसाइज कर रहे हैं और मैं उसको एक्सप्लेनेशन देने में लग जाता हूँ और एक्सप्लेनेशन एग्जांपल्स मेनी टाइम्स आप देखोगे कि द फोकस रीचेज समवेयर एल्स sometimes it has also happened that one of the participants also has come out ki sir are we not digressing from the topic. Yes, it is a good feedback and warning. Yes, I have digressed. So, first thing is that we should not get hooked. We should not take anything personally as a facilitator. Telling is easy, doing is very difficult. So, refocus the discussion if you have gone off topic. If you have digressed, okay, no harm in accepting that. Oh, sorry, gentlemen, I got digressed. Now, can we come back to the topic? Come back to the theme where we were.
Sir, I have a question here.
Yeah, please.
So when you tell me this, the slide which I have removed, the temperature check. So is there any tool or technique or process that we can use for measuring the mood of the meeting? Because that's a tangible, intangible stuff, right? So it's not mathematically calculated. So how can we see? We can see by the reactions the mood of the meeting, but is there any other tool to measure it?
Uh, Tool I have not come across that way. But one thing is that key understanding behavioral procedures. If you recall, I had taken, I think, 2 sessions on that behavioral procedures. And in that behavioral process, actually, in the origin of the procedures is the feelings. Feeling. Basically, human process originate from the feelings. कहीं भी आप देखिए conflict आ गया, conflict आ गया तो क्या होगा? अंदर में एक feeling आएगी कि नहीं, what the person is telling is wrong, and if I accept, I will be put at this disadvantage. My organization will be put at disadvantage. So, one thing is that when we go to the audience after the break or in the beginning itself, we take some time in making a rapport with the group. We start some places, we start some introductions in an informal manner or formal manner, whatever it is. In some places, the facilitator ask questions itself, a few questions itself. How are you, gentlemen, this morning? How are you here right now? Okay, so how are you right now? And if you find that answers are not coming, does it indicate something about the group? If response is not coming, you are asking, How are you, sir? How are you, gentlemen, ladies? And no response comes. What does it mean? Does it mean something, sir?
Yes, sir.
What does it mean?
When we are asking someone, or let's say you gave an example that
Hmm.
how are you and stuff like that. So yes, definitely after asking that question, I could know the mood of the person by their answer.
People are not with me. This much is clear, na?
Yes.
At the moment. Okay. Many times I go and I wish, good morning, friends. Here also I do. Almost, I think, every day I do. And I have to speak 2 or 3 times. So there also, if I am speaking 2 times, 3 times, good morning, friends, or good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and no response, there is definitely a gap between me and the participants. So before coming to the subject or theme, something has to be done. Second thing is that the session is going on and you are asking some question. Either answers don't come, or if answers come, they are very tangential. Tangential answers, or sometimes irrelevant answers, sometimes irritating answers. What does it mean? What does it mean? I was sorry. Yeah, you were telling something, sir.
Maybe lack of interest.
Maybe lack of interest. True. Lack of interest, or maybe lack of maybe disagreement. Whatever you are telling, people are not agreeing to that. Sometimes we get very irritated type of answers itself. For example, I'm giving you a real example. I was really working very hard uh, for my programs at my institute, and I changed the quality of the reading materials which we give to participants. Earlier, they will photocopy or something they will do and they will give. I told photocopy is not acceptable. वही मटेरियल अगर बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है उसको आप रीटाइप करा के दीजिए. आपको टाइप कराने के लिए चाहिए गेट एक्सटर्नल हेल्प, आई विल पे फॉर दैट. बट ये फोटोकॉपी आफ्टर फोटोकॉपी ये नहीं चलेगा. एनीवे, and I have the bad habit of giving too much material to the people. So the program was almost ending, and I was thinking that people have liked the program very much. And I was telling them that, gentlemen, what about the reading material? Silence. One person told, sir, the reading materials are very useful, and I basically come to attend your programs for reading materials. I keep it for my future reference. It is very useful. Okay. Some persons told ki, okay, sir, yes, I think you have worked a lot, and your people have prepared very much, very good. My EA and all, they appreciated that. One gentleman came. I did not invite his comments, but what he was telling, yeah, your reading materials are very heavy. And what I was doing those days, I was using only one side of the paper, A4 sheet, and back side was basically blank, so that if somebody wants, they can write or summarize or something on that. So that gentleman is telling, I give it after I go from here, I give it to my my son for his rough work. So what was this answer? This answer has many things to think. Am I giving too much? Am I wasting paper? One side khali? or I'm forcing them to read many things, but I did not like that comment. And I still remember that person. So the thing is that when we are hearing these type of questions, this also these type of answers, this also gives us mood of the group. If you are giving an exercise, writing something on the whiteboard, or you are asking something, and people are not responding, this also speaks about the temperature of the group. And there are certain things which are hidden, latent. Those behaviors are not that easy to catch. But I prefer if there is hostile behavior, people openly criticize, that helps me to move ahead. So friends, first thing is that at every stage it is very essential to gauge the temperature of the group, very essential. And instead of rushing to complete what you have to say or complete the task, it's better to spend some time to diagnose and understand the causes of this type of behaviors, if they are not very positive behaviors, and do something that this thing at least minimizes if it is not properly. So there are many things I have used, particularly when very senior people are there and they will not speak, they will not say face to face. So many of you might have used. I have used, that is a technique, I don't remember the name. I will make 4 types of faces. आजकल आप लोग देखते हैं ना, you are using in emails and all. Those days it was not very common. जिसमें कि एक face है smiling face, one face is a worried face, one face is a irritated face, one face is a sad face, something like this. I don't exactly remember. काफी दिनों तक हमने इसको यूज किया. तो इसको हम कंप्यूटर से निकाल लेते थे, लैपटॉप से प्रिंट निकाल लेते थे, और फ्लिप चार्ट पे इसको चारों को हम डाल देते थे और बीच में लाइन, हॉरिजॉन्टल लाइंस ड्रॉ कर देंगे. And what I saw at every break, suppose session has started at 9:30 and at 1 o'clock, sorry, 11:30, 10:30, 10:30, there is a tea break. So I will request people that this is hanging on the door, or there is a, that stand near the door, and whatever is your mood of right now, you tick, make a tick in that row. So when everybody goes, and that gives a good idea how many people are feeling happy, how many people are feeling irritated, how many people are worried, question marks, something like that. So there are different ways, but one thing is that the point which you raised is very important. You have to do that. I hope I have tried to. There are a number of things. Everything I will not be able to. Yes, sir. Could you get something from my answers?
Yes, sir. Self-explanatory.
I know not.
Thank you so much.
Not fully satisfied. There are different ways, and that's why I say understanding, a good understanding of human procedures. Because many times it happens that nothing hostile, nothing aggressive happens in the group, and people leave with a very cold feeling, and you as a facilitator or trainer also leave a very cold feeling, because you know that things have not clicked. Yeah, temperature checks, I think we have done. Bring out quiet participants and address participants to talk too much. Yeah, I think in group process, I had spoken about this, that there is a great resource hidden many times in the participants who are very calm and quiet. So we should do something that without hurting them or without applying force on them, we encourage them, we invite them to share their ideas, their thoughts and feelings. And yeah, it will help to bring out the views that are not fully expressed or represented. Yes, missing things. Stop one-on-one arguments from developing and threatening to take over the dialogue. Stop one-and-one arguments. One-to-one arguments, one and all arguments create problems. So whenever it happens with somebody, better as a facilitator, I change and go to some other participant. Ask for a quiet time for a few minutes to do quick energizer. Yes. Be a model. Yeah. It is not prescriptive, but one thing is that the facilitator definitely is a role model for many persons. How we have learned facilitation. Those big people, initial people, or very learned people, learned facilitators with whom we have worked. I know it came somewhere in the mind that yes, this person is the role model. For example, I had done lot of my process work with late Dr. Somnath Chattopadhyay. So basically, when I have done uh, more than 20 labs with him in different capacities, starting from a participant to co-trainer with him. Uh, Definitely, he was a role model for this type of labs, particularly what I say, T group labs or human process labs, those type of methodology where T group techniques or T group methodology is used. So basically, the first lab I attended, I was industrial engineer, and the very first thing came to my mind, oh my God, can I become like him? And that was the point which made me leave my 10-year-old profession and come to this one. Similarly, another gentleman I will name. I have no hesitation in naming them. Parikh Saab, Dr. Uday Parikh. Uday Parikh Saab was not a great orator, but listening to him was a real privilege. And same thing, I started with Parikh Saab's student in ISAFs, and I have done a number of programs along with Parikh Saab or for Parikh Saab, Dr. Uday Parikh. So many things, particularly the habit of being conceptually sound before speaking anything. I have no hesitation in telling that partly 10%, 20%, 15% I have inherited from him. I inherited, yes, the word nikal gaya, but theek hai, I have no hesitation into that. Similarly, when you talk about some very, very conceptual things or things which are concept and process both, Dr. Abadam, you might have heard these names, or some of you might have, attended their programs or sessions. Dr. Abadam, अरे यार क्या करते हैं ये? तो ये मॉडल जो है ना, people start learning, people start seeing something in you which they can emulate. Summarize the discussion for the group as you go along to help everyone keep with it. I have told earlier also. You may disagree. As a facilitator, you have the right to disagree. It's not that disagreeing is something a bad thing, but how you disagree, that is important. How you disagree, that is important. No, you are wrong, you are wrong, you are wrong. This is not the way of disagree. I am a very, नहीं बोलेंगे अभी, Yes, I also used to do like this earlier. But the fact is that I have found that whenever I have uh, disagreed, I have asked from some other participant, what about you? Are you in agreement with what this person has told? Or sometimes I will ask questions, some questions, non-threatening questions from the person himself or herself, instead of saying that I disagree and the result comes, that is good. There are some things skilled facilitators expressly do not do when facilitating the meeting. Do not do. Act as a technical expert. No. We go as a facilitator, we don't go as a expert. Train. Training is a different occasion. Facilitation is a different occasion. In training, you can do facilitation. But in facilitation, if you start training, I think that becomes dysfunctional. Drive the agenda. पहले से एजेंडा बना के आए हैं कि यही होना चाहिए, and instead of going with the process or making the procedures more functional, you are driving the agenda. Acts as the scribe. लिखते रहते हैं. Impose your personality on the group. Yeah, you have your own personality. I have my own personality, my own way of speaking, my way of moving, my way of agreeing, my way of disagreeing. So, question is that as a facilitator, I am not supposed to impose my personality or my behavior or my way of doing things on other people. Own the group's ideas or outcomes. Own the group ideas or outcomes. You are not the owner. Yes, you may support, you may question, you may agree, you may disagree, but you are not owners of the group's ideas or outcomes. Give unsolicited opinions. It's not a good practice. Make a presentation. Very difficult at times to stop it, particularly those of us who are trainers and we are also facilitators. So when we are facilitating a meeting group, we should avoid making a presentation there. Even you know that when we are learning or when we are not learning, when we are doing some facilitation work for the organization, behavioral process facilitation, it might be on a theme or it might be on a content or something like that. When we are doing this type of facilitation, labs, I'm telling, then what we are doing? We are sitting, we are talking in a structured manner, this, that, all these things happen. And a time comes when it is realized that a concept if discussed for 5 minutes or 10 minutes will clarify the things. So we used to make a break. उसको बोल देंगे कि after tea, gentlemen, we will have a 15 minutes of concept session before starting our facilitation group. So we put under inverted comma that this is a presentation session, so that it's very clear it is not facilitation, it is a concept session or a presentation. Sometimes if time doesn't permit or because of our laziness or because of the pressure that if that particular concept is not clarified, the things will not move ahead. Then we ask the opinion of the group, the gentleman, can I make a presentation for 5 minutes? And I change my place. I make a presentation or a small lecturette, whatever it is, and do it. But mixing the two is not good, is not functional, good or bad. Avoiding these mistakes should be part of any group's facilitation technique. Yeah, these are some, I will say, quintessence of some facilitators, which I have found that these things, yeah, सारी बातें तो बोल दिया है, लेकिन these things they underline that these things help us. Set the boundaries. Whenever we go for a facilitation session, we have to set a boundary. We should not go beyond the boundary because in the organization, one thing is related, interdependent, interrelated on some other thing. And if we forget the boundary, then we will go somewhere else. So set the boundary. Step 2, remain impartial. This is to be learned. This is the greatest learning of the facilitator, to remain impartial. 3, understand group dynamics or group processes. I have emphasized it so many times. Use your personal style. Don't imitate anybody. If I start imitating Awadza, I will be nowhere. Yes, I have learned whatever I have to learn, or I learn whatever I have to learn. But I will present those things in my own way. Somnath Chattopadhyay, great scholar. We admire, we have learned. I gave full credit to Dr. Somnath for changing my career. But the fact is that I have learned also. I copy sometimes also. But the fact is that I cannot copy his style. His way of speaking, his way of looking. I can't do like that. His very intense knowledge of Vedanta or this and that, Indian, this thing, Sanskrit, and hardly there is anything in which it doesn't bring something of Sanskrit. So those type of things, I can't do that. So use your own personal style. Your style will develop over some time. ये नहीं कि आप पहला फैसिलिटेशन करने गए वहीं पे आपके स्टाइल आ गई, उभर गई, ऐसा नहीं है. धीरे धीरे करते 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 आपकी स्टाइल आ जाएगी, है ना. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, स्टाइल भी लोग दूसरे नजर में देखते हैं. वन ऑफ माई वेरी सीनियर्स, he had not been my direct boss, but yes, साइड में रहे हैं, लेकिन he had been senior to me throughout. So one of his participants, I was doing a program in my institute, and one of his middle level officers went to him that, sir, please approve me for doing this program. So what is that person saying? Are you are going to his program? He will tear you off. तो ये उनको लगता है कि मेरा स्टाइल है टीयर यू ऑफ वाला है, लेकिन वैसा शायद रहा होगा, उनके नजर में तो रहा ही होगा. सो क्वेश्चन इज दैट कि हर आदमी का स्टाइल होता है जो लोग जानते हैं. व्हाट इज ए स्टाइल? Characteristic way of behaving. The behavior which people observe very often, that is perceived as that person's style. Intervene when appropriate. It's not that you are facilitator, so every time you have to intervene. I have gone to some facilitation sessions where basically I had very little need to intervene. The thing was set so well that the group started moving on its own and little facilitation. Actually, that is the skill of the facilitator. When with little facilitation, great objectives are realized. That is the real facilitation. Handling difficult situations. I had a separate write-up or presentation basically for trainers. And that was a very good collection of this type of situations. And we have to learn it to handle these situations in our own way. Because difficult situations, everybody is going to get. ये नहीं है, the difficult situations नहीं मिलेगा, but you will have to find out your own way of handling the difficult situation. Tips, techniques can be there, but you will have to develop your own skills. And last step is practice, practice, practice. इतनी सारी चीजें मैंने कहा है, वो आएगी तभी जब आप प्रैक्टिस करेंगे, प्रैक्टिस करेंगे, प्रैक्टिस करेंगे. Yeah, so this was basically the facilitating skills. Yes, sir. Any questions? हो गया, गड़बड़ हुआ ना अभी.
Sir, just one request.
Sure.
Sir, just can you just redefine the personal style definition?
Pardon?
Can you just redefine the meaning of personal style?
Personal style.
Yeah, you have given the definition, but I was unable to hear it properly.
Whose personal style?
Anybody's personal style, how we can define it?
Hmm?
How we can define it, the personal style? You have already given a definition, I was not able to hear it
Personal
properly.
style. Personal style is simple way, your characteristic way of doing something. That is your personal style. Your characteristic way. Let's take the example. Very, I will say, crude example. That some of us are there. Whenever they wear shirt and pant, they tuck their shirt inside the pant. Whenever you will find that person moving out or moving in his house or even outside, you will find his shirt is inside his pant. That is his dressing style. So the way I am meeting people, the way I am talking to people, the way I am speaking, the way I am agreeing, the way I am disagreeing, all these things are my personal styles. It can be a number of things. अब आप leadership style पे आ जाएंगे तो दूसरा style हो जाएगा, presentation style पे आ जाएंगे तो दूसरा style. Leadership style, the way you find a person very often influencing others, that becomes that person's leadership styles. Presentation styles, you'll find some person simply sit in a chair and from there they speak or they will show their transparencies to others. Some persons you will find that even if they are showing their transparency, they are constantly moving on the platform. Some persons you will find that usually whenever they will start their sessions, they will start with some questions, some good questions. Some persons you will find that they will come in a very formal manner and gentlemen, this is our agenda of today and we are starting. So different ways of, but whatever is the characteristic way, whatever very often the person is doing, that is that person's personal style. And we have our styles for different eating styles. For example, हमारे senior colleague थे, he was I think much educated also than me, but कुछ ऐसा हो गया कि I became his boss. But we are still today we are very good friends. तो उनकी क्या आदत है कि वो खाना खाएंगे, इतना फास्ट खाएंगे ना कि आप एकदम से नजर आ जाएगा. हम लोग कलकत्ता में एक प्रोग्राम करने गए थे साथ में, and we were staying in a hotel. We have plenty of time. तो वहां पे मंगाया हमने अपना कुछ, हम लोग अपना एंजॉय कर रहे थे, तो चिकन मंगाया हमने, तो रोस्टेड चिकन इन माय रूम. तो इस तरह से उस पर टूट पड़े वो, दोनों हाथ से पकड़ के जल्दी जल्दी जल्दी. मैं उनको पहले सर बोलता था और मैं उनका बॉस बन गया तभी मैं ही उनको सर बोलता था. आज भी बोलता हूँ, आज भी मैं ही उनको सर बोलता हूँ जब भी कभी वो कॉल करेंगे या मैं करूँगा. हमने बोला कि सर यहाँ कौन सी जल्दीबाजी है, आराम से. तो डोंट यू नो दिस इज माई स्टाइल ऑफ इटिंग. अरे यार स्टाइल ऑफ इटिंग, तो हर चीज का एक स्टाइल होता है और वो वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू डिस्क्राइब. यस आपका या different styles we have in different roles. Well friends, we are having around 15 minutes time, and exercise I think we have to do in the last session, that perhaps one session is remaining, so I will do in that. I will not be able to do today. Techniques, I told these techniques and styles, same thing here. So here I am not going to make you an expert in these techniques. I am just giving you just a sort of a enumeration or a collection of some of these facilitating techniques, or these techniques which are used not only in facilitating, they are used in other managerial activities also. For example, one of the facilitation techniques is brainstorming. I think all of you are familiar with this brainstorming.
Yeah, yes.
Brainstorming is a technique for producing more ideas, unconventional ideas. And the concept behind it is to activate or to get ideas from your left brain type thinking and also from right brain type of thinking. So it is also to be facilitated. Brainstorming is also to be facilitated, and it is a technique, it is a beautiful technique for facilitation whenever we are running short of ideas, or whenever we have to bring out new unconventional ideas. Yeah, that's all. The call is from your side. Case study, I think you have studied also, you have done also. So in facilitation, case study is used, but in very, very specific situations. What type of situations case study is used? When a great, big experience is to be presented in a very short time. when we find that people are not, coming on, not getting aligned to the type of uh, thing we want them to, we give them a small or big case study so that you go through it, and then based on the case study, we will start our facilitation. Yeah. I have done many times, even if, for example, performance management itself. So there was a good study somebody had prepared about some organization about the performance issues or performance problems. So when I was making the beginning for this performance management project in my organization, initially I was using some case studies also, because after that case studies, many of the things which I will say that this happened, this may happen, this also happens, those type of things they have come, and while discussing and doing that case study, people have got the desired type of exposure to the desired type of theme, or have identified desired type of attitudes. Demonstrations. Demonstrations are not very common, but in very some, I told some facilitation sessions, they have a number of sessions, one after the other, and some facilitation sessions are just one session or one day or 3 hours long. So this demonstration of some concepts, some practice, some theme, or some attitudinal things also helps in facilitation, demonstration. For example, I was trying to implement many years ago this practice of OJT, on the job training. The 4 basic things of on the job training, 4 modules. Those are very old modules used at World War time. But in Japan in 1984, I found that all the organizations, they are using that model as the basic input for the training. And around 95, 96, one organization in Himachal, their CEO, that gentleman asked me that I want my people to at least get trained in these 2 modules. Will you find some trainer? In India, it was very difficult to find any trainer those days, because here the trainers in the quest of getting some new techniques or new fabs, they reject all those things. So I worked and I did this in the form of facilitation. And there I had to make a few demonstrations which helped a lot. Drama, ये काफी common है facilitation में, and it is like role play drama. I was using one of my friends from Mumbai, and I was using this in my program on strategic thinking. Field trips, taking them to a nearby place or a far place and really showing them something, discussing something, and bringing out new ideas for them. That helps a lot as a facilitation technique. Film shows, बहुत common है. Fishbowl technique. ये fishbowl technique, I think all of you might be familiar with this. Fishbowl. Yeah, I'm not hearing anything.
Yeah.
Hello, hello, hello. Hello, sir. This fishbowl technique, anybody can brief it to me? Are you listening to me, sir?
Yeah, not
Yes,
aware,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Pardon?
Not heard, sir.
Yeah, not aware about it. Not aware about it.
But you are listening to me, na?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Prabhu, I was testing the temperature.
Yes, sir.
So I thought that perhaps only I am speaking, nobody is listening to me.
No, sir. No, sir. We are in.
Fishbowl technique is a very useful technique and it is not a new technique. What happens? That whenever a problem is to be solved, normally we use it for problem solving. We make a small group of people, either by nomination or voluntarily. Say, we have made a group of, there are total, say, 25 persons in a group. We have invited. And for something, facilitation is going on. At some stage, some problem has come. And we want to bring out a good solution of the problem, mainly through many ideas and all these things. So what we do, we make a fishbowl. Fishbowl में क्या होता है कि few persons, 5 or 6 persons, they are made to sit in the center. There may be tables in front of them, there may not be tables in front of them, not very important, but they will sit in a circle, closely they will sit in a circle, 5, 6 persons, and outside these small circles, the remaining persons will be there, who will be surrounding this, either sitting or standing, either way, whatever is comfortable. So, the problem is put to the central group. And there are some rules. First thing is, it is told that this inner group will discuss and find out the ideas or solution of this problem. Inner group. And what will the outer group do? The outer group will be listening. When enough ideas or good number of ideas have been generated by the inner group, then initially we don't allow, then we allow after some time the external group also. If from this external group somebody wants to say something, either in support of or in criticism of the points which have emerged here, or trying to bring out a missing point, he should raise his hand and he should speak. So that person speaks from there. The inner group, they listen. The facilitator also is listening, making notes if required. So what happens that slowly and slowly the outer group also gets involved. And when the outer groups, whosoever comes from the outer group to involve, he is asked to come back and stand or sit just behind these people. Means we are making a third circle here. What is the third circle of? Central middle circle. Middle circle is of those persons who are not in the inner group, but from the outer group they have interacted or they wanted to interact. So this way this discussion becomes intense and there is involvement of the group and they are able to bring out the relevant ideas or bring out a good solution of the problem. So this technique is called, in short, fishbowl technique, which is basically used to involve other persons, involve many persons to the solution of the problem, but in a very, very structured manner or Yeah, structured games, business games, or all these things, training games you are aware of. Icebreakers. I gave the example that day that for this competency identification, first day of the program at Hyderabad bombarded. Then the second day, we started with the icebreakers, and that's really worked, and we could do for what we had come. Kitchen concepts, very small concept. You can read from your handout because the session is, the time is going to end. Very simple technique. It's just for very much similar to rather fishbowl, I can say. Lectures are small lectures on something that helps, but as I told you, it should be within inverted comma, means separated. It should not mix with the regular flow of facilitation. Otherwise, it will cause dependence, or people will think that the facilitator has become a teacher or a lecturer. Separate time or separate blocks can be identified for that, and a small presentation or a small lectures can be given. Role plays, you all know that. Panel discussion, you know that. Peer training, yes. Making one person train another person, or if one person is knowing something better, making the other persons know, that comes under peer training. You can read from the handouts. Pictures, pictures. Some of you might have done this TAT, thematic perception tests. So like that, there may be some typical pictures and explanation of those pictures. What do they say in that? Those pictures also help in facilitation as a technique. Consensus building. It is the most important technique of facilitation, and true consensus and false consensus can be distinguished. There are many structured exercises of consensus building, but the facilitation is basically consensus building. So this consensus building exercises in different forms that helps discussion. Um, you know that facilitator intervention. Yes, sometimes the facilitator has to intervene in a very powerful manner or a specific manner. So it is not a special techniques, but the thing is that key facilitators interventions, some persons brought in the form of a technique also. Technique, मैं इसको टेक्निक नहीं कहता हूँ, facilitator interventions. Facilitator can use any of these techniques as intervention. Ground rules, making ground rules. That day we talked, I think, about ground rules. Then we find that people are not understanding what for they have come, or people are, the discussion is going in a very divergent way. It's better to form some ground rules. I think in my handouts, these ground rules also have been explained very well. But ground rules are nothing but certain rules which we formulate in the beginning of the session itself. That in this group, we will be doing these things and we will not be doing these things. Meeting agendas, making agendas basically, and meeting management, all these things most of you might be knowing, but these things are helpful. Meeting management techniques, how meetings should be managed, because many of the facilitation sessions are meetings only. Nominal group technique, again involvement of many persons in getting ideas or getting some solutions. You can better read from my handout. Parking lot, read from the handout. Robin, voting, stories. Yeah. yes, there is explanation of all these techniques in this handout, which maybe today or tomorrow I will send you. So friends, with this session, I had been given basically 6 or 7 sessions. 7 sessions, I think. Last program I did 7 sessions. So I have tried to include some of the things which are very important for your sessions. 2 limitations I experienced. One limitation is 1.5 hour session. Normally 3-hour sessions are given by institutes. Here I'm getting 1.5 hour. Second thing is that for such a big thing, only 7 sessions. Third thing, which is the biggest obstacle here, is doing it online. Facilitation techniques really, our experiences, our gains can be heightened if we do face-to-face programs, but those things have become the matter of the past, I think, in the present situation. So I have tried to do to the extent possible with my own limitations. So we will end. If you have anything to say, you are welcome. Maybe this discussion, who to retain, which I have left, maybe we may start our next session if it comes with that exercise. So shall we end it now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Very
you,
well
Thank you, sir.
explained.
Thank you.
I know I had gone a
Thank you,
bit
sir.
fast, but, welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome, sir.